Test, test. Hey guys, this is Onefin. I'm really bad at saying things because, you know, I don't say things. But hey, so this is like a voice reveal thing, I guess. I know everyone does like voice reveal stuff, and so like now that I have 1,000 subscribers, it's like, hey, maybe we should put a voice to the channel. You know, that's probably sounds like a good idea. What else do I have to say? Questions, right? Those. Let's go. Where did your names come from, and why do you have 2 of them? So my name comes from computer science and standard variable notation, that kind of thing. It's also kind of like a childhood tautology, like when it's like, what's your name? My name is my name, and you know, it's kind of fun. And Winfinity comes from my admittedly unoriginal attempt to create an artist name by sort of taking a favorite mathematical concept of mine and, you know, changing the I's to ones like a generic person. You know, I made like the first one, like pronounced like one, but like, yeah, pretty uncreative if you ask me. So I have 2 names because at a certain point I was trying to establish myself as a musician, as all musicians do, and so I needed an artist name, but I found that my name was like not easy to design, so I created a new name, but all the other websites already had my name on me as me, and I didn't want to like change all of it, so I told myself, let's just use my name as an internet name, and then Winfinity is like an artist name. So I guess that worked. In a way, it sort of like matches the duality of being a Pokemon and a human at the same time in Mystery Dungeon, so I like it. What made you start making music and remixes? So back when the glorious Gates to Infinity was only just recently a thing, I was just, you know, walking around the house like a normal person, and then I was like, whoa! I should make music! And then I started making music. So I guess a few things probably sparked the whole epiphany. You know, I had recently quit piano lessons, so I was kind of sad. Gates to Infinity, though, had challenged me to mark my own destiny. And then, you know, the Meloetta arc ended recently. I mean, that one probably wasn't that important, but hey. In the end, that revelation told me that composition and creating music was the thing that I was made to do. So I began doing it, and it's been fun. So remixes were ultimately an idea inspired by the glorious Bespin Ben. You know, when he wasn't back from his trip, there were not very many Gates to Infinity remixes out there, but then he came along and started transcribing all of its soundtrack, and I mean all of it. So I became acquainted with him, and then he sort of gave me the motivational drive to produce my first ever Gates remix on the anniversary, and I've been remixing PMD ever since, and it's been fun. How old are you? I'm 57. Stop staring at me like that. How did you get into Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? My first PMD game was Gates to Infinity, as I'm sure you know. I mean, you couldn't tell based on my channel. I got into the series from an advertisement on a magazine that I saw. It was all like, whoa, you are a Pokemon. It was super intriguing because like, whoa, you mean that the player in there is me, not like some other random person that I have to connect with somehow? And then it was advertising a world where there's like only Pokemon, like Pokemon only. I mean, that was just a strange proposition to me at first, and so I was like, I have to experience this. And so I got into Gates to Infinity, and it marked a giant turning point in my life, yay. I've been in love with the series ever since. What is your favorite out of these options? Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, no question. I mean, I thought that was obvious, but I mean, yeah. I just really love the concept of like all these Pokemon who in the main games are like animals almost, kind of like forming their own society and like being humans, and that's somehow that really appeals to me. I like it. Also, I want to note that after playing Gates to Infinity, I loved the game more than I did before. It's just, I feel like the gameplay is charming in its own way, even if it's not top-notch. It's sort of like your house in Gates to Infinity. It's shabby, but not too shabby. I like it. Favorite game other than Mystery Dungeon? Poke Park 2, ha! I only say that because of nostalgia and childhood memories, but honestly, there are so many good twists out there, I can't pick any. So I decided on Poke Park because, well, it comes to mind immediately. Also, the soundtrack is extremely underrated and really awesome, so, yeah. What do you like besides Pokemon? I think Kirby is awesome. I also do Mario Maker, that's a thing. Also, pizza is cool. Definitely pizza. Right up there next to chocolate donuts. Do you play any physical instruments? So piano is a fun time. I don't really play piano in the orthodox way of like, oh, I put a bunch of classical sheet music in front of me and like perform stuff. I'm not really much of a piano performer. I just play for fun, you know, sit down, just randomly doodle some things. It's a way for me to like express my emotions in a way, but I mean, for many others it just looks like magic. Because like, whoa, you can make up stuff on the spot. Yeah, I can make up stuff on the spot. It's really easy. And I also play percussion. No, percussion is not just banging on random items. Actually, it kind of is banging on random items in a way, but I mean, in a good way. Face reveal. Next! What's your favorite genre of music? I really love ambient music. Not because I make it, or... well, yeah, because I make it, but also, you know, I just really like it when the sound makes like a really good soundscape, and it just sounds awesome. I don't know. I'm really bad at describing things. I've always been. Are you going to come out with any songs of a different genre other than Pokemon remixes, or songs that sound like they would fit into Pokemon? But you can go to any other artist for that. A lot of people have asked me about my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. I'm just gonna say, honestly, I don't really want to take sides on the Nintendo Switch yet, because like we don't know much about it, and I'm not one to like judge things based on how they look at first. So I'm gonna be undecided for now. Maybe have thoughts later. If PMD does come to the Switch, what do you think it would be like, or what would you want to see from it? Honestly, the biggest thing I want to see for it is like some sort of in-depth cast or character set. I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, you know, in Gates to Infinity, there were all these really cool characters. They all had some really fun stuff behind them. They weren't like stale. They were all memorable, and that's one of the biggest reasons I like Gates to Infinity. So I do kind of want to see that sort of like in-depth development into each of characters in the new PMD. Am I particularly worried about development issues, like, you know, how Gates to Infinity, if you aren't aware, was made on 3DS, which is like a foreign system for Chunsoft. So they couldn't really develop a ton of content for Gates to Infinity because they had to focus on making the game work. So with the PMD on the Switch, I'm not all that concerned actually, because I mean, not just because I liked Gates, even though it was like meant to be a test run sort of game, also because like I'm sure Chunsoft like knows what they've done in the past, so I'm sure even if they're like doing like a developmental test run thing on the PMD Switch, they'll learn from their previous mistakes and they'll still be able to do something interesting. Which generation of Pokemon is your favorite? Definitely Generation 5. It's the one I started with, and it's the one that features things like N, Pokepark 2, Gates to Infinity, that glorious thing, and reusable TMs. All of which were memorable experiences. I mean, except the latter, but like, you know, who cares? What font was in this video? Simplifica is awesome. I don't know why I did that. That was so cheesy. Alright, moving on. Here's a good question. Why did you give up on EOS so quickly? So if you guys don't know, EOS stands for Explorers of Sky. That's the second title of the Mystery Dungeon series, along with Explorers of Time and Darkness as well. The thing is, when I dove into Mystery Dungeon for the first time, the one thing that had me most intrigued was the idea that I was the human turned Pokemon sort of character inside the game. That was why I picked up Gates to Infinity in the first place. So when I went to Explorers, it didn't really resonate with me in that same way, because it was very apparent that that character in there wasn't me, because like that character had a backstory and some unrelatable traits and such. So that was the reason I gave up on Explorers at first, and then I picked up some other reasons as the game went on. Stuff I can discuss, not talking here, but like in text and stuff. Of course, that was when I was watching Let's Play. There's also that one time when I picked up an emulator and tried to play Explorers, just so I could have like hands-on experience playing a Mystery Dungeon game. The reason I gave up that playthrough was because Explorers was too difficult for me. I got to the second dungeon, Drenched Bluff, and I died. So I just, gave up because I decided that if I was gonna die so early, it would just be best for me not to struggle with the later half of the game, which I wouldn't be able to beat anyway. So that's why I gave up. Sorry. You have said a while ago that you can't get into retro games, but what if they've been remastered into HD or given a fancy treatment? So yeah, I did make a video called Syndrome in the past, where I talked about how, because I was born into games of higher quality, I don't have that perspective on the lower quality games to be able to recognize that they were high quality at some point. So with the remasters and stuff, I feel like it would just depend on what the remaster entailed. So the kind of remaster that I would think would solve the problem most entirely is like, how in Mario Kart they bring back retro tracks sometimes, like there are 4 of the cups are new tracks and 4 of the cups are retro tracks, and they basically remake the entire track with new beautiful graphics. That if game was remade like that, I would totally play them. Like, that's awesome. I like that a lot. It shows that they're like aware of their previous games, as well as like showing that they want to they treasure their previous titles as well. Like that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying much because I don't play all that often myself, but I'm sure I would enjoy a remastered. How do you balance school and YouTube? Magic! I actually don't know. Maybe it is magic. Huh. Who is your favorite music creator? How about the composers of Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeons OST, Kappa? I guess you probably wanted an answer outside of the immediately obvious. Yeah. So I don't really have a favorite artist because, oh my gosh, there's so many to pick from. But if you go to my favorite audio list on Newgrounds, you can find a good list of them, as well as some of my favorite stuff I've heard on Newgrounds. It's a pretty good list, you can check it out. Which Pokemon is your... In all seriousness, my favorite Pokemon is Oshawott, because Gates to Infinity partner, and super cool Scout Chop, and Pokepark Toon, a bunch of crud. Yeah. Also, Victini deserves a shout out for being literally the best legendary ever. Like, I do like my fair share of legendaries, but if I'm ranking a bunch of legendaries on the list, a lot of them make second, and then Victini just skyrockets first for some reason. I don't know why that happened. Do you love chespin? Okay, okay, get close over here. I'm about to break your heart. Okay, get close. Get close right here. Okay, ready. No. What starter are you choosing? I'm choosing Poplio! How long does it usually take to make a song? I usually log around 12 to 13 hours on a legit full-length piece, but that doesn't really count every single time I just open FL for 5 minutes and just stare at it. So here I have a lot of questions about how the production process works and how I do things. These questions are pretty difficult to answer, honestly, so I don't really want to do them in this video because that would just waste too much time. I might make some other stuff talking about how to do these things, like how to improv or how to make instruments and such. But in the case that doesn't happen, or when that doesn't happen, you can if you DM me about it, I'll be glad to help you out. Who is your favorite YouTuber and why is it me? Dude, your content is top notch, that's why. Dude, I can't freaking pick a favorite YouTuber. How about Bespin Ben? Will you ever make a Discord? I I actually have a Discord. Let me go see what my Discord tag is so you can add me and we can talk and such. Let's see. I'm gonna go here. Click myself in the server. My name 2243. That's MY capital NAME 2243 space Onfinity. That's 1F1N1TY. Number sign 2791. Yep, that's me in Discord. Go ahead and me. Yeah, cool. If Dark Matter and Bitter Cold got into a fight, who would win? And that is the sound of the destroyed world. Props to you if you sat there and listened to that. Did you notice that I skipped number 6? I did notice that you skipped number 6, but I probably cheated because I read the last question before all the others. Yeah. Do you play Geometry Dash? Yes, I play Geometry Dash. My stats will be on the screen when I edit this video. As for level creation, I used to make levels in the past, but I was never really good at it, so I just quit and let the masters do their stuff. Serpa and Gino, he's pretty good. Also Ilrel, also JF, also Optical, also Galvatron, also this list goes on forever. What's the hardest level you've beaten? So I'm not very good at Geometry Dash, like at all. I've beaten Shifting Systems by Hyperflame and Triaxis, which is an 8-star insane, but only because of this beautiful strat. It's patched now. You can't do it anymore. Sorry. Could you start a petition ballot to make an extended version of the first song of Sir Punja's requested song? Sure. In the description below you will find a straw poll. Please vote on whether or not you want an extended version of the first song in Sir Punja's requested song, so I can promptly ignore your response and continue doing my own thing. What would be your worst nightmare? I have an irrational fear of being locked up in a room with a paint can and a window because I'm worried that when the paint can jumps out the window, it will go and tell everybody how much of a dork I am. I don't know if I've already mentioned this in this video, so it might be a little bit redundant, but which Pokemon games have you played? So when I was a kid, I played Pokemon Rumble. That was my first Pokemon game and my introduction to the series. After that, I basically watched LPs of a ton of other games. Pokepark 1, Pokepark 2, and then like Gates of Infinity came after that. There were probably some other Pokemon games here and there. Yeah. So that's all the Mystery Dungeon, except Rescue Team, that I've watched. And then I've also seen Snap, Pokepark 1 and 2, and I think I've seen Rumble and Rumble Blast. So yeah, that should be all. I will also mention that Pokemon Rumble Blast has a pretty good soundtrack that's often ignored, so you should go check that one out, alongside Pokepark's soundtrack. And the last question in this video, are you a real person? Like, with real hands, and a brain, and stuff? Look at these hands! I have ballot tumors. And finally, before we end off the video, thank you for subscribing and for watching and for doing all the stuff you do. Your support means a lot to me. I wouldn't have gotten here if it wasn't for you guys, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much for watching and for being supportive of me. So yeah, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any further questions, ask in the comments below and I will be sure to answer. Thanks, have a nice day.